Crab apples. Crab apples are the best apples for an apple pie. You take a sweet apple and you put it with sugar, it doesn't work out too well. You put a sour crab apple with sugar, you put those together, tastes great. I was originally going to do a review on this Fishpond Nomad mid-length net, and you know, I said, oh, this is a great net. It's the basket is big, it's got a big circumference, the handle is long, it's got a tape measure, it's super light, it's super strong. It's like, how can you go wrong with this thing? Then, you know, I said, oh, let me just see what everybody else is saying about it, and everybody else is pretty much saying the same thing. So I said, what? Everybody knows this thing's great. So, like, you know, what am I going to do? I'm going to sit here and tell you it's great? You already know it's great. This is the best net going right now, as opposed to a net like this. This is a $20 Cortland net you can buy from Walmart. There's nothing wrong with this net. It's got all the things that you need. It's strong. It's got the rubber basket. The circumference right here, nothing wrong with that. Look at it compared to this net. That's what, you know, 1 inch to 1.5 inches smaller all the way around. That's not bad. Okay, the basket isn't as deep as this one. This thing is 8 inches, this one is 12. So it's a 4-inch difference. I've put 22-inch fish into this net. There's nothing wrong with this net. And you save $140. But this is like the age-old question about buying things. Is a BMW cost 75 grand and a Kia costs 15? Is the BMW 5 times the value of the $15,000 Kia? It's personal preference. After you get that baseline, the car drives, right? You got seats in it, right? You can speed up rather quickly. Everything after that, every feature after that costs a lot more. If you want those extra really flashy features, you gotta pay for them. This is $160. This is $20. What does this thing do over this? It's got 13 extra inches. You're not gonna have to reach like an idiot to scoop up a fish. That's big. It's got the tape measure, so you don't have to look like a fool taking out a tape measure and measuring a fish. Can't believe anybody does that, but they do it. It's got a really deep basket. And some people say, you don't need a big circumference, you just need a really deep basket. It's a good point. You got a basket that's 3 feet deep, you can put a 3-foot fish in it. Doesn't matter how big this is, you scoop them up head first. Is it easier with a bigger circumference? Yes. This one has a bigger circumference. Not a ton bigger, but it's bigger. And but you add up all those little things, it's super light. Honestly, it's almost as light as this. If this had this net on it, it would probably be the same weight. This one might even be heavier. It's extremely strong. I've used this thing as a waiting staff sometimes. Climbing up a hill maybe. It's tough as hell. So there's $140 difference. Is it worth it? Well, I think you have to consider your other gear. Really, you need to consider your other gear first. If you want to spend $160 on this net, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you dry fly, nymph, and streamer fish with the same rod? Are you using an 8'6", 5 weight for nymphing, streamer fishing, and dry fly fishing? If you are, don't buy this net. Don't buy this net. You get a nymph rod. You like the nymph? Get a nymph rod. Don't use your dry fly. You're going to catch more fish. I mean, what's the point of having an amazing net to scoop up fish with if you can't put any fish in it? Now, if you don't have a pack, to hold your tippet, your flies, your sunglasses, you know, if you have this net and you don't have a pack, get a pack. If you don't have a net, get a net. But if you have a net, get a pack. See, that's what I'm thinking with this. But if you're somebody who's got everything and he's still using this net, then you gotta upgrade, because this is the best net in the world right now, without a doubt. There's a lot of other nets though. I mean, there's no doubt about this. There's a lot of other nets out there. There's a lot of big wooden nets too. They're very heavy, but they're cheaper. I mean, you can get a net this size pretty much for, I don't know, 125 bucks. this is better than it. Spend the extra, $35, get this net. You're not going to regret it. There's also these aluminum nets out there that are really strong too. I don't like the flashiness of them. That's my personal opinion. If it's for a boat, I do like the flashiness. I mean, I've seen these net companies. They make like a bright red or pink net. If you're wade fishing with that net, if you can pull it off, good for you. I can't wear a pink net on my back. But in a boat, I want a pink net. You know why? Because when I look down, I want to see that net. If I need a net, I need a net. So I'm going to look down, pink net, grab it. If it's a black net, it might just blend in. It might just blend in. It might be hard to find. And that may extra couple of seconds, 4, 5 seconds, you could lose a fish. So in a boat, I don't care. I almost like it when it's flashy. And the bigger, the better. So I don't care if it's heavy. And I don't care if it's got a white basket. If it's a wading net, I need a black basket. This thing on your back doesn't look like anything. It doesn't look like anything. But if you got a white basket on, it shows up. It sticks out like a sore thumb. It really does. So, another thing, and this is really just food for thought. A lot of people talk about floatability in nets. They talk about how, this net, it floats, so you're in good shape. Let me talk about that for a second. Floatability is a feature. There's no doubt about it. But in some cases, sinkability is a feature too. If this net sank, I wouldn't own this one. I'd own the one that I lost, because it would have fell into the water, sank to the bottom, hooked on a rock, and then when I realized it wasn't there, I would have turned on my headlamp and it probably would have been 10, 15, 20 feet downstream, hooked on a rock. But since it floated, it fell out. Since it's so freaking light, it fell out. I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel my pack change any weight, really, because it's so light. It fell out and just bloop, right into the water, floated right down. So that's something to think about, right? Floating is great. You're in a boat in a lake. You drop the net out and it sinks down to the bottom of the lake. You got a problem, obviously. Even in deep water in a river, right? Floating, it's pretty good, If you're anchored up and you drop the net and the water's moving fast, still probably good. You're going to wreck a whole bunch of pools maybe catching up to it, but at least you won't lose your net. And if it's in cold water, who wants to jump out of a boat and swim to the bottom of a 10-foot hole to go grab a net? So I agree. A lot of the time, floating is good. But if it doesn't involve a boat, I'm not sure it matters too much. So I might say that is a these aluminum nets, they float. They don't float as good as this, and I don't think that's a big deal. So that might be like not a strike against this, but like a check mark for the aluminum side. And because think about this. When you net a fish, they say, oh wait, you just gonna float in the water. But are you gonna let go of your net? You got a fish in it? No, you're not letting go of the net. You just fought this fish for 5-10 minutes or something. You put it in a net and you're gonna let go of the net and lose the fish and the net? No. I put the net between my legs and I usually throw the rod right in there with it. And some people hook it to something. My friend Mike, roll this one. You see, he hooks it on that front of that Filson vest. I have that vest too. It's a good vest. I just don't wear it anymore. I just use a sling pack now, but that's got a rod holder here. I just throw it in the net. Another reason to have a big net. You put a rod in it. It won't matter that you have a big fish in there and a rod. But I never let go of the net. So I don't give a shit if it floats. I don't want it to be stone and sink right to the bottom. But it's because I don't want to carry a stone net on my back. I want to carry something light. And the floating part is a result of a light net. So I want a light net more than I care about the floatability of it. It just so happens that when you make a really light net, it floats. Let's wrap it up. The comparison between a $160 Fishpond Nomad mid-length net and a $20 Cortland net from Walmart Is it 8 times better than the Cortland net? It's a matter of opinion. It matters how much you value a few things. Handle length, basket depth, circumference, the tape measure, all black, lightweight, strength. If all that stuff means $140 to you, yes, it means it to me, without a doubt. Because when I went back to this net for a few days, I felt like an idiot. I gotta be honest with you. I was fumbling all around. I was trying to scoop up fish. I can't reach fish. It was terrible. I got used to this, and now this is just, it's the worst now. But when I was using this, it was fine. It was totally fine. It wasn't until I got this net that I have to have it. And maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe you need to buy it and check it out. If a friend's got one, let them, maybe you can borrow it. Maybe you can borrow it for a few fishing trips. Try it out. I bet you're gonna like it. You're gonna go back to your small net and you're gonna, this is ridiculous. And this is gonna go to the backup. It's gonna be a backup net. All right. Thanks, guys.